Welcome back to Listen. Today we are diving into a story that explores the darkest corners of the human mind. We're traveling back over 150 years to the cold, crowded streets of St. Petersburg in Russia to look at a masterpiece, Crime and Punishment. Imagine a young man named Rodion Raskolnikov. Raskolnikov is a brilliant law student, but he's living in abject poverty. This means he's so poor, he lacks the basic necessities of life. He's living in abject poverty. He's run out of funds, he's used all his money, and he can no longer afford his studies. To make things worse, to make matters worse, letters arrive from his family who live in the countryside. He finds out that his mother and his sister are making massive sacrifices financially just to support him. And the pressure begins to mount up. To mount up means to increase gradually. And Raskolnikov becomes increasingly desperate. He eventually resolves on a plan. He decides firmly. He resolves on a plan to do the unthinkable, to murder an elderly pawnbroker. A pawnbroker is someone who lends money in exchange for personal items. He decides to kill her and steal her riches, her money. He tells himself it's for the greater good. He's caught up in, this means he's deeply involved in, he's caught up in dangerous ideas like utilitarianism. Utilitarianism. This is the belief that an action is right if it benefits the majority. He thinks, why should this greedy woman live while I, a genius, starve? He believes he can transcend, he can go beyond, he can transcend the moral rules that govern ordinary people. He wants to prove he isn't just a louse, but a Napoleon. A louse is a parasite, an insect that lives on the skin of mammals. But we have a saying here, easier said than done. Once he carries out the murder, his world falls apart. He didn't just kill a woman. He cut himself off from humanity. He isolated himself emotionally and socially. The novel Crime and Punishment isn't just about Raskolnikov. It brings the underbelly of the city to life. The underbelly refers to the hidden, unpleasant part of a society. Dostoevsky, the writer, the author, he leads us through dank taverns. Dank is just cold and damp. Taverns are pubs, bars. And dilapidated apartments. Dilapidated means falling apart. Apartments that are dilapidated, apartments that are falling apart. We meet Marmeladov, a man who has drank his family into ruin, spent all of his money and his family's money on drink. And he meets a nobleman who is completely unhinged. This means mentally unstable and chaotic. So these dark ideas that Dostoevsky came up with, they were based on his own life. Dostoevsky's own life was like a movie. As a young man, he dabbled in radical politics. Dabbled in means superficially involved in. He was arrested by the Russian government and he was sentenced to death. He was actually facing a firing squad when a last-minute pardon, a legal cancellation of punishment, a last-minute pardon, arrived from the Tsar. It was actually a mock execution. It wasn't a real execution. He didn't know that. It was a mock execution designed to break his spirit. He was sent to a labor camp in Siberia for 4 years. And this experience, this caused him to turn away from his radical past and to focus on spiritual questions. He began to believe that Western philosophies could never satisfy the yearnings, the strong desires, the yearnings of the human soul. And in Crime and Punishment, we see this play out, we see all of this happening. Raskolnikov tries to rationalize his crime. To rationalize is to find a logical but false reason for it. He thinks he is a Superman who can kill in cold blood. This means without emotion or mercy, in cold blood. But his conscience won't let him off the hook. It won't let him escape his feelings of guilt. His conscience won't let him off the hook. Even though we know who did it, who the murderer was, from the very beginning, the story is a gripping account of his mental breakdown. Gripping means firmly holding your attention. It shows us that the real punishment isn't the police or a prison cell. It's the inner turmoil, the mental confusion and suffering that follows a heartless act like this. Yet in the darkness, and it is a dark novel, in the darkness there is a glimmer of hope. The story suggests that no matter how far someone falls, there's always the possibility of redemption. Redemption is the action of being saved from error or evil. Some of the key vocabulary and idioms and phrasal verbs. Abject poverty. This is a state of extreme poverty and misery. A pawnbroker is a person who lends money at interest on the security of an article, pawned. So you leave an article with a pawnbroker, you pawn it, and you borrow money. The item is the security for the pawnbroker. Utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is a doctrine that actions are right if they are useful or for the benefit of a majority. To transcend is to rise above or go beyond the limits of something. Underbelly. This is the suppressed or the hidden part of a society. It's often characterized by crime. Dank means unpleasantly damp and cold. Dilapidated is in a state of disrepair or ruin as a result of age or neglect. Unhinged means mentally unbalanced or deranged. A pardon is the act of forgiving or being forgiven for an error or an offense. Yearnings are intense feelings of loss or lack and longing for something. And redemption is the action of saving or being saved from sin or error or evil. A few phrasal verbs we used. To run out of. This is to use up the entire supply of something. To find out is to discover information. When things mount up, they are increasing in size or intensity. To resolve on something is to decide firmly on a course of action. To be caught up in something is to be involved in something, often unexpectedly. To fall apart, to break down emotionally or physically. To cut someone off is to isolate someone or something. To dabble in is to take part in an activity in a casual or superficial way. And to turn away from, this is to reject or stop participating in something. Idioms and sayings in this episode: in cold blood. This means without feeling or mercy, ruthlessly. Easier said than done. We say this when something sounds simple, but is difficult to actually do. To let someone off the hook. This is to allow someone to escape a duty or an unpleasant situation. Inner turmoil. This is a state of great mental confusion or anxiety. And to drink someone into ruin. This is to spend all of a family's money or destroy their reputation through alcoholism. And that's everything for today. Thank you for listening. This is Listen. Please share, subscribe. See you in the next episode. Bye bye for now.